Good evening, councillors, CEO, executive, and those in our virtual gallery. Welcome to the November ordinary meeting of council. We are here gathered actually as in person, which is a welcome development. And very soon, hopefully, we will be able to move to a larger meeting space in the community hub and welcome back an actual gallery. So that hopefully won't take too long. But certainly a warm welcome to those that are following online or on Facebook. I'd like to start, please, by acknowledgement of the traditional owners. I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the country of the Darjara Wrong. We acknowledge the traditional owners of the area and their forebears. We acknowledge their living culture and their unique role in the life of the region. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. The council prayer: Almighty God, we ask you to be present in this council. Direct and guide our deliberations. We ask you to grant us wisdom and sensitivity as we deal with the business of our shire. May each decision that we make advance the well-being of all our residents. This we pray. Amen. And councillors and gallery, just before we start the meeting, we're not having the best sound system. We will return to our normal one of direct microphones because we're in sort of temporary arrangements. So we will speak up. Hopefully in the gallery you will hear us clearly. Apologise if it's not the most perfect sound system. We will return to that very shortly. Okay, looking at the agenda for the meeting, we have no apologies. We're here. We have no leave of absence. The conflict of interest, councillors. The conflict of interest? Yeah. If not, the confirmation of the minutes previously circulated, that we had the minutes of the statutory meeting and the minutes of the October meeting. Are there any concerns about those? If not, I declare those confirmed. We have no minutes of delegated advisory committees and we have no petitions, so let's go straight to item 8, officers' reports. The first one, it's that time of the year indeed, council meeting dates for 2022. We've got the officers' recommendations setting those out. Is there council seeking a motion? Thank you, Councillor Sprout.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that council adopts the following dates for council meetings in 2022. Tuesday the 22nd of February 2022, Tuesday the 29th of March 2022, Tuesday the 26th of April 2022, Tuesday the 24th of March 2022, Tuesday the 28th of June 2022, Tuesday the 26th of July 2022, Tuesday the 23rd of August 2022, Tuesday the 27th of September 2022, Tuesday the 25th of October 2022, Tuesday the 15th of November 2022, and this meeting is to appoint the Mayor in consideration of appointments to committees and organisations. Tuesday the 22nd of November 2022 and Tuesday the 20th of December 2022.
Thank you, Councillor Sprout. Seeking a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Villiers. Councillor Sprout, if you want to talk about this.
Just say there's the formal council meetings held on the 4th Tuesday of every month, and all going well, these will be in person and with a gallery.
People certainly welcome back. Councillor Villiers. Any other councillors? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. Item 8.2, Office of Deputy Mayor. We have a report from the CEO asking us to determine the matter. Councillor seeking a motion. Councillor Lavelle.
I move that council determine whether to establish the Office of Deputy Mayor for the 2021-22 year, and if so determined, consider the term of the Office of Deputy Mayor.
Okay, council. So you're wanting council to talk to determine whether there will be one. Yeah. Okay. Seeking a seconder to that motion.
Yep.
Councillor Long. Councillor Lavelle.
Yes, well, I will preface by saying my push to establish a deputy mayor position is not self-serving, nor to put up my hand for the position now or ever. We are a newly elected council, 12 months in, following administration. bearing a great deal of expectation from community due to the unfortunate past. We have stood together in support of our current mayor in professing strongly the importance of change leadership, which is also reflected in the council plan and community vision. We have also discussed the importance of culture and cultural change. Culture change is about strong leadership and good governance. To regain community confidence and optimism, we need to establish yet another layer of accountability, transparency, and good governance. Electing a deputy mayor will certainly achieve this. There are many roles for the deputy mayor, they being to support the mayor by spreading the load, assist in officiating at ceremonial events, plus a raft of other roles. It is also invaluable learning experience in succession training, even though deputy mayor is not guaranteed rollover into a mayoralty position. I must add the deputy mayor position would never override a mayoral position, unless of course the mayor is absent. The position does not come at a cost to the ratepayers. I have been approached by many and asked why we haven't got a deputy mayor. I could not answer this. Currently, there are 79 councils in Victoria, 2 are in administration, and only 4 councils currently have decided against a deputy mayor. Now, councillors, given one of our objectives is to instill trust and optimism back in the community, I would have thought this extra layer of accountability and transparency is what we, as elected representatives, should welcome with open arms. I certainly know the community will also. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Before I go to Councillor Wong, I just would like you to clarify with you the actual motion is based on the officer's recommendation that council determine whether to establish. I think your motion was talking that the council should in fact establish.
Oh,
so if you want to delete the word whether, I think would be appropriate. So
yes,
the council determine to establish. I think whether would leave it either way.
Yeah, well, I'll deplete the word whether there.
Whether
Yeah.
there. Councillor Long, are you happy to second it on the basis that we delete the word
Yes.
whether? So the motion actually becomes the council determined to establish an officer deputy mayor for 21-22 year, and so determined that we've determined that the term within. I think. Can I just suggest that the council determined to establish the office of deputy mayor for 21-22 year for 1 year.
Yep.
I think that will make it simpler. Are you happy with that?
I'm very happy with that.
Councillor Long, are you happy with that?
Yep,
as a
that's
motion? So Councillor Long talking to the motion.
Thank you.
The motion.
Through the Mayor, I would like to speak to the motion determining to have a deputy mayor. I realise that Central Goldfields Shire Council traditionally hasn't had a deputy mayor. However, next year is both a state and federal election year. This will mean a lot of extra commitments that our Mayor, Chris Meadows-Taylor, may need to attend to, as this is a golden opportunity to seek funding avenues for council projects. I believe that a deputy mayor would be able to support and assist Councillor Meadows-Taylor with this, to step in when he's unable to represent the council at events the mayor is unable to attend, as well as perform any other duties that may be required. I see the role of deputy mayor as a subordinate one that can be a great support for the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Other councillors talking for or against the motion? Thank you, Councillor Love.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is a worthwhile discussion for council to have. And if there are any disagreements, for the public to hear the reasons behind those varying views. I will be voting against this motion. For 21 years since the creation of Central Goldfields Shire, we have never had a deputy mayor. And I believe in that time, we've never had a problem because of that decision. The process is simple. The message is clear. We elect a mayor to lead the council. The mayor becomes the public face, the spokesperson for the council. Then we have 6 councillors with equal status. The role of deputy mayor introduces a new level of hierarchy. Under the existing system, the accepted protocol is if the mayor is unavailable to attend an event, the ward councillor is invited to officiate. It's an opportunity for the ward councillor to be seen, to be heard, and to be visible in their ward. Under the new system, the deputy mayor would step in, the ward councillor would be relegated to nothing but observer status. Unlike most organisations, the role of deputy mayor is not an automatic pathway to becoming the mayor. In most organisations, you have a junior vice president who then becomes a senior vice president and finally becomes the president of that organisation. This is not the case with the role of deputy mayor. I believe that role is generally a ceremonial role. But more importantly, I think we need to look at the logic and reality of why we need or don't need a deputy mayor. In metropolitan Melbourne, many local government areas have populations in the hundreds of thousands. It is physically impossible for the mayor to attend everything. If the mayor could, they would be attending multiple events every day, 7 days a week. I believe in those circumstances, the role of a deputy mayor to assist is essential. In regional Victoria, we have the city of Greater Geelong with a population of 250,000, Ballarat and Bendigo with populations of 100,000, Mildura 78,000, Shepparton 60,000. But let's look closer to home. Central Goldfields Shire has a population of 13,000. We are a small, intimate, close-knit community. I believe we are fortunate that historically the mayor has attended almost everything. Every event that the mayor is invited to, the mayor attends, and the mayor accepts that is the role. As I've previously stated, if the mayor is unavailable, the ward councillor steps in and takes over on behalf of the mayor. This system has worked well for 20 years. And as a result, I ask my fellow councillors to think long and hard before they vote on this issue. I have always had a belief in the doubtful benefits of change for change's sake. And quite simply, I say, if the system ain't broke, don't fix it. And I believe we have an excellent system at the moment that doesn't include the role of deputy mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lovett. Other councillors talking for or against the motion? Councillor Sprout?
Through the mayor. The deputy mayor role is one that I must admit is a bit of a non-issue to me. Do we have one or not? To be honest, I could sit on the fence. I value and appreciate the argument formed by my fellow councillors by which I will base my decision. The arguments I hear for are that it would add another level of accountability and transparency, and that it is not for personal status. The arguments against are that having a deputy, we add another level of hierarchy and as a result, demote the position of councillors. So in my evaluation, I believe that all councillors are responsible for transparency and accountability, and not having a deputy should not change that. I have no doubt this is not for personal status. I agree we are all councillors and together we elect one of us to lead our Shire. And as for a second in charge, we are all equal. I also believe that I think as far as a succession plan, I would hope that any councillor seeking the role of mayor in the future would seek the relevant training or assistance in that role prior to. But I also disagree that councillors would be a mere observer. The mayor can use his position to appoint a ward councillor to officiate any event.
Thank you, councillor Straddle. Other councillors? Councillor Murphy.
I'll be voting no. But I have an issue with the word from Councillor Lavella, due to unfortunate past. I wonder what Councillor Lavella means by that. I really wonder what that means. Is that my unfortunate past? Having 9 months on council before the state government comes in and unfairly sacked me? I did nothing wrong. Council in 2017 was sacked. They did nothing. Due to an unfortunate past. I think we've got to move on from those words. Also, I've been approached by no one about the deputy mayor. I don't think anyone really cares. So I concur mainly with Jeff and Wayne, but Jeff really sums it up about we are all out there being deputies, every one of us. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Murphy. Councillor Villiers, you want to come?
I would just like to add that a year ago, when we just started on this journey, that I would have supported the role of the deputy mayor. But I think the way we functioned and the way we've operated does not really support the role of deputy mayor. I'm quite happy for us to continue as we have for the past year.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Valley, you have the right to reply given the speaker speaking. Councillor speaking again.
Okay, thank you. Firstly, to Councillor Murphy, possibly it was unfortunate past, should have been, I should have said challenging past, and I wasn't talking to you on a personal level as purely of what happened in the past. Councillors will always maintain their elected status because that's why we were elected in the first instance. Comparisons were made in relation to organisations. You cannot compare other organisations with local government, and that's a given. My comparisons were researched with like-sized councils, not big metropolitan councils, and I have a list here like Bullock, 6,184, Ararat, 11,965, Strathbogie, 10,992, and Moyne and Hepburn, low population councils that have elected a deputy mayor. So why would so many councils, smaller and larger, in the rural setting decide on appointing a deputy mayor if there was no added value to the community? Councillors, you need to ask yourself when deciding on your vote in regards to this. We do need to emerge from 2 decades of same old, which unfortunately wasn't kind to the Shire in recent years, and move forward to reinvent ourselves into the modern era of 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vella. I will now put this to the vote. All those in favour of the motion that is the council determined to establish the office of deputy mayor for the 21-22 year for a term of 1 year. All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. All those against? The motion is lost. And status quo will remain therefore. Item 8.3, use of the land for animal husbandry, 232 Broadway, Denali. Council seeking a motion.
Mr Mayor, I'd seek to move an alternative motion to the officer's recommendation, please.
Thank you. Would you like to indicate what that is?
Yep, I'll read it out. Bear with me, it is quite lengthy. Motion that council, having caused notice of planning application number 07921 to be given under section 52 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987 and the Central Goldfields Planning Scheme, and having considered all the matters generally required, resolves to issue a notice of decision to grant a permit in respect of planning application number 07921 for the land known and described as 232 Broadway, Denali, for the use of land for animal husbandry in accordance with the endorsed plans and subject to the following conditions. No layout alterations. The use must be undertaken generally in accordance with the endorsed plans. The layout of the uses on the endorsed plans must not be altered without the written consent of the responsible authority. Maximum number of animals. No more than the following number of animals are permitted to be kept on the subject site without the further written consent of the responsible authority. A, 5 ewes and 1 ram for a maximum of 3 years. 2 alpacas, 1 miniature pony no larger than 7 hands, and 10 poultry animals. As the ewes and ram are taken from the site either through permanent relocation or through mortality, the ewes and ram are not to be replaced on the site. The permit holder must inform council in writing of either the permanent relocation or mortality of each of the ewes and ram as it occurs. Storage of feed. All animal feed must be stored in vermin-proof containers in the existing outbuildings. Fencing requirements. Within 6 months of the date of this permit being issued, the permit holder must undertake the following: construction of internal fencing along the southern boundary of Crown Allotment 25, Section 5, that which 25 Thomas Street, Denali. This fence line must be set back 1 metre from the existing boundary fence and extend the entire length of the allotment. Animals kept within this allotment must not be permitted to access the boundary fence line. Alternative fencing may be approved with consent from the responsible authority. Amenity. The use and development must be managed so that the amenity of the area is not detrimentally affected through the transport of materials, goods or commodities to or from the land, appearance of any buildings, works or materials, emissions from noise, artificial light, vibration, smell, fumes, smoke, vapour, steam, soot, ash, dust, wastewater, waste products, grit or oil, presence of vermin in any other way. The operator under this permit must control vermin and pests to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. All vacant or grazed areas must be maintained to avoid dust nuisance to the adjoining residential area to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. Collection of animal waste. Fecal waste matter from the animals must be collected regularly to the satisfaction of the responsible authority and must be disposed of via appropriate measures. Animals contained on subject site. At no time shall the animals allowed to be kept on the subject site under this permit wander outside of the subject land. Goulburn Murray Water. All construction and ongoing activities must be in accordance with sediment control principles outlined in Construction Techniques for Sediment Pollution Control, EPA 1991. All animal shelters and pens must be located at least 30 metres from the waterway that traverses the site. Fencing must be maintained to ensure animals do not have direct access to the waterway. No fecal waste material from the animals is to be disposed of directly to any waterways. Solid fecal waste material must be collected from the pens, coops, and managed to the satisfaction of Council's Environmental Health Department. Expiry. This permit will expire should any of the following occur. The use allowed by this permit is discontinued for a period of 2 years. The responsible authority may extend this period if a request is made in writing before the permit expires or within 6 months afterwards. Permit notes, local laws permit and excess animals permit may be required. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Seeking a second. Thank you, Councillor Butler. Councillor.
I'd like to foreshadow a motion. If this motion does not get up, I'd like to foreshadow a motion, which is that the current motion that Councillor Long has just put up, but to exclude 3 years, the ewes and rams for 3 years, to 1 year. So if this motion does not get up, I'd like to shadow the motion.
Thank you,
1 year, not 3 years.
Councillor Murphy. Councillor Long talking to the motion.
There you go. Through the Mayor, I would hereby like to move an alternative motion that a permit in respect of planning application number 07921 for the land known and described as 232 Broadway, Denali, for the use of land for animal husbandry is granted with certain conditions. So this particular item has weighed heavily on my mind ever since I was first contacted by the applicant back in May this year. As a primary producer, I know firsthand how much joy and companionship farm animals can bring to an individual, improving their well-being and mental health. However, I also know that farm animals are not the same as domestic animals, namely dogs and cats. They require different management, care and containment. Council rules and regulations are a very important part of council. They exist to allow everyone to live in a harmonious and safe environment. Without them, the Shire would soon turn to a place of anarchy. But I also understand and see the need for the applicant to have several pets as companions for her. In the alternative motion, it is possible for the applicant to keep 3 animals as pets by reducing the number of animals on the property through rehoming or natural mortality. I would sincerely encourage the applicant to work with staff to comply to the motion's conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Councillor Love.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Some weeks ago, with regard to this specific issue, we had a telephone hookup with the person requesting the planning permit be approved. I, along with all my fellow councillors, listened closely to that person and what they had to say. I have to say, at the end of the conversation, I was left quite distressed and uncertain about how I would vote on this issue. And I know from a series of emails that were sent very soon afterwards that my fellow councillors felt exactly the same. I had a sleepless night that night. I have no doubt that the person involved is absolutely genuine in their desire and don't consider the animals on the property as animals per se. They are considered as children. And I think that is genuine. Again, like all my fellow councillors, I took the opportunity to drive out to Denali to personally view the property, to drive around it, to have a look at the vicinity and see how it was situated. My dilemma was, at the end of the day, we have a series of council bylaws and there are government instrumentalities who also have laws that strictly control things like animal fecal matter into waterways, etc., etc., etc. And as in many situations, I put myself in the position of abutting neighbours. How would I feel if I lived next door or over the road? And to be perfectly honest, and let's say it, we have a farm in a residential area. And to me, that is the crux of the matter. In essence, we have a farm on land that is zoned residential. And although there is some personal sympathy for the person involved, we do have a set of rules that we must abide by. They are our rules. And if we choose to ignore them for whatever reason, no matter how valid the reason may appear, what does it do? What message does it send to the rest of the community? coming to the meeting tonight, I did have a dilemma how I was going to vote. However, earlier in the day, we were made aware of this new motion. I think this new motion covers all bases and protects everyone. And very rarely you can say that. I think this motion, and this is the reason why I will be supporting Councillor Long's motion. I think this motion is fair, is reasonable, and is almost a perfect response to this planning permit application. And I think all parties, if they sit down and read this motion, if it is carried, should see that it is a very reasonable outcome to this request. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lovett. Other councillors? Councillor.
Whilst the alternative motion by Councillor Long, I agree was accepted. So I can't agree with the 3-year period to remove the ewes and rams. I think 3 years is far too long. And I think that I believe that 1 year would be a better situation to remove the ewes and lambs. They go with the property anyway. They're all the time, but the thing is, we can't just let it go on too long. We just can't let it move too long into the future. A 1 year period of grace to actually move the lambs and the ewes and the ram away, and then just have the 3 animals, which is, in this sort of situation, can get through in different areas, and there has to be some VCAT rulings on this as well. So I'd be more comfortable with that situation, because a year is not that long, where 3 years can drag out a long time. So I'm asking my fellow councillors to vote no to this the current motion, and put an alternative motion in with a 1 year time plan to remove the ewes and rams, unless Councillor Long would like to change her motion to that now. Councillor Lovett agreed to that.
I think Councillor Murphy, on point of order, I think we have a motion that's been put and seconded. You push out the alternate motion, you've indicated how you're concerned. I think we have to deal with the motion before us as it is. Take a vote on it at the sequel. You make your views clear, which I appreciate that. Other councillors? Councillor Lovett.
This motion is one of the many extremely difficult decisions councillors need to consider and decide upon in their term. In this case, we are torn between the sentiment and the legislation and local laws. This motion sits under many legislations we must adhere to. As councillors, we are bound by rules and regulations. Therefore, sadly, they are from time to time casualties of our decisions. I believe the alternative motion is an acceptable compromise, but still sitting within the legislative framework in allowing a timeline of conditions to be met, and also to assist the landowner with this transition.
Thank you, Councillor Lovett. Other councillors? Councillor Long, as Councillor Murphy is spoken against the motion in its present form, I'll give you a right of reply.
Thank you. I would just like to clarify why the 3-year timeframe was set, if I may. So when I spoke to the applicant, I've spoken to her many, many times over the past few months, and I asked her what the age were of her sheep, and she replied that they were 5 and 6 years old. So Councillor Murphy may not be aware, but the lifespan of a sheep is approximately 8 years. So they can live longer, but on our farm, by the time they're 8 years, their teeth are gone. They actually fall out, they're broken mouth, and their feet are gone. So it would be highly unlikely that any of the sheep would live past 3 years. So this would allow them to naturally die off, pass away, and they would not have to be disposed of any other way. Just as a point of clarification. Yeah, thank you.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Item 8.5, road name of Callista Drive.
No,
Sorry, 8.4. Sorry, I've skipped over one. The inclusive our Central Goldfields Shire Disability Plan 22 to 2027, and that is now in its final form. Councillor draft. I'm seeking a motion, Councillor. Thank you, Councillor Sproul.
Mr Mayor, I'd like to move that the council adopts the inclusive Central Goldfields Shire Council Disability Plan 2022 to 2027.
Thank you, Councillor Sproul. Seeking a seconder. Councillor Delius, thank you. Councillor Sproul, talk to the motion.
Through the Mayor. Inclusive, that word says it all. We want to be an inclusive, socially connected, healthy and safe community for all residents. I think this is the first plan that I've seen received such great response. The draft document had over 80 submissions. One of those submissions was to use the word inclusive. This document is a success story of the deliberative engagement process and community involvement. Based on estimates from the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the Central Goldfields Shire has more than 2,500 people living with a disability and almost 1,000 on a disability support pension. This is a significant portion of our Shire, and I'm glad that we have developed a plan that can guide decision-making and priority settings. Central Goldfields Shire Disability Plan 2022 to 2027 is a great document, and I thank everyone involved for their participation. I'm happy to present this motion to Council.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sproul. Councillor Delius.
Councillor Sproul said it all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Delius. Other councillors? No, sorry, Councillor Murphy.
I'm fairly much into this to the disability plan, but in general, accessing places for all abilities. So the pet thing of mine, which I said before. So let's read a few things from here, which I believe the gallery should listen to. Reducing barriers to persons with a disability accessing goods, services, and facilities. It means they go up the street and buy what they need to buy, they get in the supermarkets, and getting to the library quite easy, and we've got to find access. They have a barrier. Reducing barriers to persons with a disability, obtaining and maintaining employment. We've got to support and champion people for employment and help them get employment. Promoting inclusion and participation in the community of persons with a disability. Bring them in, include them in situations. We're all one. It's all one community. See past the disability. Achieving tangible changes in attitudes and practices which discriminate against persons with a disability. We have to educate people. We have to make sure people understand and educate the community on accessing for all abilities. The other thing is that when Councillor Sproul said about the 2,500 people living with disabilities in Central Goldfields Shire, that's around 25%. Around 25%. That's a quarter of our population. So it's a very big thing to really work hard at this. And again, with our ageing population, it's something we should be working towards the future. Commend the report, and I'll be grateful.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Other councillors? I'll put the vote. All those in favour? Those against, the motion is carried. And thank you, Councillor, for picking up on that. So now we will go to 8.5, the road name for Callista Drive. Councillor seeking a motion. Thank you, Councillor Lovett.
Mr Mayor, I would like to move that council approve the road name request for Callista Drive to replace the previously approved Martin Place, and that council support officers pursuing other ways to honour the achievements of Mr and Mrs Martin with a geographic location naming.
Thank you, councillor Lovett. Seconded. Thank you, councillor Lovett. Councillor Lovett, choice.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's unfortunate that our original choice, Martin Place, was not accepted by Geographic Names Victoria. Due to the proximity of Martin's Lane in Adelaide Leeds, some 9 kilometres away. In many ways, this is due to emergency services, so that there is no misunderstanding if there's a call out from an ambulance, or police or fire or whatever. And in fact, Geographic Names Victoria came into being because of this very reason. So the developer has proposed a new name, which I'm happy to move. But more importantly, we as a council have agreed that the naming of Martin Court in the first place, Martin Place in the first place, was to honour the contribution of Myra and Sybil Martin to our community for over 60 years. And with the name of the street change, their contribution doesn't diminish, and council acknowledge that fact. So council will be working very closely with the officers of council to find a suitable alternative to acknowledge the contribution of Myra and Cyril Martin, so it's recognised by the community. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much, councillor. Councillor, any other councillors? So I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? The motion is carried. And that completes the officers' reports. We have no use of the common seal. We have no notice of motion. Councillors, urgent business? No urgent business. So any other business we don't have any. We have no confidential business. Therefore, at 6:43, I will declare the meeting closed. Thank you all for your attendance.